So here I am in the studio, and I'm on my way in today, and I'm thinking, there's something I haven't heard on the news that needs to be on the news. And that's Donald Trump is signaling to Zelensky he may have to play a little more aggressive with Putin for the negotiations to work. You haven't heard anybody else cover that, but I'm going to give you the evidence for that in today's broadcast. And by the way, I'm always amazed at how I watch a lot of shows, because I'm on Real America's Voice, and it's Charlie Kirk and it's Steve Bannon and others, and Don Jr. is just selling the daylights out of gold. And I'm realizing the only reason that's happening is a lot of people in America, including you, are still making decisions on what you do with your finances in this era of the Trump counter-revolution. But I'm going to suggest to you that the Birch Gold Company is the one that I've had the most success with. And if you go to lancewallnau.com/Birch, there's a 15-page report on the gold in this era of Trump. And the realization is that right now we're living at a time when China's frustrated with us. They can't control us. India is frustrated. The whole world would love America to be taken down because they don't want to be pegged to the dollar. But as long as Donald Trump's got that seat, that gold and that dollar is going to stay where it's strong. And now's the time for you to take action. Not a year from now, not when people panic, not when something like, global war erupts, but right now. It's like gold's gone up like 70% in the last 3 years. It's uncanny. Just check it out. You can take your retirement, your IRA, and roll it right over. Go to lancewallnau.com/gold. You'll be glad you did. Let's get into today's wild show on what's really going on with Ukraine. So I'm driving into work today, and I'm always listening to everybody because I'm a news junkie. It shouldn't be that way, but I think God is at work in America right now in a way. I'm going to give you a verse from the Bible that is so appropriate for today. It was quoted by the prophet in the Old Testament, Habakkuk, and then repeated by the Apostle Paul. Every now and then in history, God is at work doing something which, if someone was to really explain to you what it is, it would blow your mind. And that's almost what the prophecy says. Behold, I do a work in your day you wouldn't believe if somebody laid it out for you. I want to tell you what the work is that I believe God's doing today that is so amazing that it's hard to believe. And that work looks like this. You're seeing a counter-revolution in America. And all the news that I'm going to cover, and these will be like, various, I'll be doing this over the next couple of days. The week in review, the last couple of days in review, the last 2 weeks in review, actually, because big things are happening. Some of which I don't say this with hubris, but I believe because we are a prophetic community, we are a praying community, that we are privy to the Lord's counsel in some ways, that we catch certain things that are going on. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Donald Trump made a throwaway comment, just a little throwaway comment, but nothing that he says when it comes to negotiating is accidental. Putin, for instance, with the Ukraine, has met with Trump. They had their meeting. They did Putin did his classic 20-minute PR, speech on, show a picture of him kneeling in Alaska next to a Russian bomber who evidently crashed a plane or something, fighting for America in the Second World War. But Trump is frustrated because Putin didn't come out with a ceasefire. In fact, here's the problem. Vladimir has to explain to the oligarchs and to the people of Russia, why in the world did he spend 800,000 lives, or maybe 1 million, who knows, in going into Ukraine? He's got to explain for the last 3.5 years, what has he been doing? To explain that, he has to have real estate. He has to have the Donbass region. He has to have territory. He has to be able to consign. He's not getting enough, evidently. He's not getting enough real estate from Donald in this, what he wants. And so this stuff isn't public knowledge, but they're negotiating. And so Trump says, I got to sell this also to Zelensky and to all of Europe. And you want more than I think is realistic right now. So it's being stalled. What does Trump say? He drops a line. I don't even have it in my assets here. My team didn't catch it, but I caught it. He said, and it's probably in a Truth Social tweet, Will, back there, where Trump goes, if you're on a sports team and you're only on defense, you can't win a game. You have to go on offense. And there's never been a war that's ever been won when you're only on defense. You have to take some land. What's he saying? Oh, wait. Oh, that's very fast. It's very hard. Oh, that's pretty impressive, Will. All right. They brought it up. This is live TV, people. Let me read it to you. Thank you for making it larger for the old man here. It's very hard, if not impossible, to win a war without attacking an invader's country. It's like a great team in sports that has fantastic defense, not allowed to play offense. There's no chance of winning. It's like that with Ukraine and Russia. Crooked and grossly incompetent Joe Biden would not let Ukraine fight back, only defend. And how did that work out? Regardless, this is a war that would have never happened if I were president. Zero chance. Interesting times ahead. He's writing this to Vladimir. Oh, you've got to catch. Nobody's covering this. Everybody treats it like, oh, he's saying stuff again. He's always saying something. Here's what he's saying. He's saying, we at the Pentagon over here with Biden wouldn't let Zelensky attack Russia. They could only play defense. How can you possibly win a war or end a war when you're only on defense? Now, Zelensky comes out with an unrelated comment. Unrelated? Ha-ha! We have connected the dots. He says, we are now working on a whole new set of missiles that are capable of going outside of Ukraine into Russia. Do you know what he's saying? He's saying we don't have to get Europe involved. We don't have to get the United States involved. We ourselves are prepared now to strike Russia, if that's what it takes to end this thing. Trump just gave him the Trumpian green light. Now, this hasn't been official. The Pentagon is still operating off of the policy, by the way, of the Biden administration, which is no escalation. Not while there's still a chance of a negotiated settlement. So Trump is telling Putin, this is my perspective, by the way, Trump is saying, listen, if you're just going to drag this thing on and keep bombarding these guys to accumulate more miles and stack up more body bags of Ukraine, I'm going to tell Zelensky, and we're not going to have peace, then he's going to have to go hardball himself and start, pushing back on some real estate and go reacquire it and go after you in Russia. Well, what does Putin say? You got to connect all the dots. Putin comes out this week. We are reevaluating our nuclear capacity, and we are going to, like they need more nukes, like anybody needs. When you got enough nukes, you got enough nukes, right? It's like a guy who has an arsenal of 5 AK-47s. You only need one. You don't need 5 in your living room. Anyway, Putin is going to increase his nuclear arsenal. What's he saying to Trump? All right, if it's going to go that way, I'm going to increase the number. And the more that we have, the more possibility there is an accident can happen, something can get launched. You know what that's like. So he's trying to tell the president, we're just going to ratchet up the nuclear. Let's talk nuclear if you're going to do that. Trump goes, You never win a war on defense. Vlad, if you're not going to come to the table and come with a realistic deal that we could work on, then Zelensky is going to have the restraint taken off him. Do you see? Interesting days ahead, Trump says to Putin. Interesting days. Uncertain days. Because what's the press going to look like in Russia when Putin suddenly has to explain not just drone strikes, but a kaboom, a kaboom, a kaboom. I mean, I don't know where you can't hit domestic sites. You don't want to hit like Putin does. They have to go for military targets. But could this be an escalation? Absolutely. But that's the whole point. Trump is signaling, hey, Maybe you need to experience a little bit of pushback before you come to the table. Well, Putin realizes maybe I don't want them firing on Russia. So they're going back and forth. But Trump's, he's not a chump. So this is looking very interesting. Now, as I was saying, I'm driving in today, and I'm listening to Charlie Kirk. I shouldn't be doing this, but there was an accident or construction down here, and so I stopped to go look at what Charlie's doing, and he's making an interesting point. And the point is that there is a population shift happening in the United States. It's happening because the revolution, the counter-revolution right now, is making the states like New York, Illinois, California, and Rhode Island experience an exodus. In other words, the Democrat-run states that are fiscally strangling their people with more government, more taxes, but more crime, more immigration, but they're opening up their doors. In Chicago, you've got the drug cartels now all fighting with each other in Chicago. That's the reason why I'm going to bring that up later today. Why is Trump talking about taking his road show from D.C. to Chicago to clamp down on the crime? Because the drug cartels have found Chicago, ironically, that lawless bastion of crime, that dome from Al Capone till now of weird politics and the underbelly of the organizing metropolis of Gotham City and the Democrat community. That's where the Mexican cartels are. So basically, Trump is saying, we're going to have to crack down on these cities, sanctuary cities, where the crime and the immigration is the strongest. But what I'm pointing out, put that graphic back up. They're moving from California and New York and Rhode Island, Illinois, to Utah and Idaho, Florida, and Texas. I got to say, I think you're going to see a lot of the Mormon influence in Utah. That's what that is. But it's Mormon, religious, conservative. Texas and Florida. And by the way, that means that the electoral votes, the people voting, is decreasing in those states, which begs the question, why is New York and California, Illinois sitting there saber-rattling about increasing the number of congressmen representing them in the House? In other words, what they've watched is in Texas, 5 new districts, probably 3 which look Republican, are strongly Republican, are being created. But here's the deal, Lucille. You've had vast movement of the population, meaning Florida has more people than has been accounted for in their own census. Same thing with Texas, more people coming to Texas. That means when you have 1 million more people, that affects the distribution and allocation of elected representation in Congress. These other states that are having diminished populations, like California, that are replacing it with illegals. Catch that? They really are not, they should not be counting that as an incentive for expanding the representative base. But Newsom's going to do it because Newsom is running a total media blitz. The betting in Las Vegas says it's 25% now. Sure, that Newsom will be the guy that will run against J.D. Vance in the next cycle. But before then, he's going to run against Trump while Trump is in office. And he's ratcheting up his national campaign now. But I want you to see that they're losing people because they're hemorrhaging. And you got to really screw up California to want to leave California. Because I've been to California. It's a beautiful state. God's gift to America is that coastline over there. Unfortunately, it must be tough, but they're leaving for the hot, dry territory of Houston and Dallas and the humid Florida. Well, what we have is, as you can imagine, Donald Trump's response to Gavin Newsom's threat to he's going to match California, is going to raise 5 new seats. Now, the problem with the 5 new seats in California is, now catch this, ready for this? A little bit of math. 40% of Californians vote Republican. Now, I hate to say this, but the kind of mushy-minded, Christian evangelical movement in California that doesn't like to get involved with politics. Over 50% of the evangelicals in California don't vote. So that kind of it doesn't help. But what it means is, as people are leaving California, Newsom's popularity is going up among the radicals that are staying there. That's the only reason I can figure out that they actually want him to run for president. Like they want more of what they've got in California everywhere else, even though people are leaving California. But Donald Trump vows to sue California over the new redistricting push. And think about the math. If 40% of your state votes Republican, and you go ahead and succeed in redistricting your Democrats into multiplying Democrat counties and districts, that reduces the representation of 40% of your state to 9%. You get what I'm saying? In other words, 40% of the state is Republican. They got like around 14% now represented in Congress because they do the districts in such a way that it's majority blue, little bit of red, so they could take that as a congressional seat for a Democrat. As a result, if Newsom can continue his subdivide the blue state strategy, then only 9% of the Republicans, who make up 40% of the voters, and I say if the Christians would register, 50% of the state would be Republican. They would only have 9% of them represented in the Capitol. And that's the reason why there's a question on that. Let me read you something here from, I guess it's from Town Hall, but it's worth reading, and it's good writing. I like it. This is, wait a sec. Here we go. Maryland is already a poster child of ludicrous gerrymandering, but Maryland is ready to jump in. Maryland says, they're going to go join the redistricting band and join California. But more than a dozen states, a dozen red states, catch this, and 3 blue states meet the conditions to potentially redistrict for 2026 without the need for special elections or amending their own state constitution. GOP-led Ohio is legally required to redraw its congressional districts this year. Missouri, Indiana, and Florida have indicated interest in redistricting as well. The only states where Democrats have one-party control and the power to immediately pass a new map through the state legislature would be Oregon, Illinois, and Maryland. New York wants to redraw its map, but that wouldn't happen until the 2028 election at the earliest. While both Texas and California are seeking to flip 5 seats, and I think we did 5 here in Texas, other states have fewer seats to target. Sean Donahue, a political science professor at the University of Buffalo, predicts Republicans would pick up 4 to 6 House seats nationwide if a tit-for-tat redistricting fight was to break out coast to coast. Well, what it really tells you is the battle in America over the culture of America is the counter-revolution of Trump. It's reframing media. It's reframing the corporate structure. It's reframing entertainment. It's reframing academia at the university level. It's challenging the control that the bi-coastal elites have had over the institutions that have dominated America. And now Trump is basically is building a populist movement that is becoming very hard to beat. And the extremists on the Democrat end of the continuum are not even going to be able to redistrict and win. So that tells you this battle is becoming local as well as institutional. All right, that's today's show, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
We're entering a period of time that has increased hostility against people of faith.
It's a time when Christians are going to be tested on a moral, physical, psychological, and even a financial basis. I'm here to remind you that God is the one who has blessed you thus far, and He will take care of you in the future. You have a divine responsibility, however, to see trouble and prepare yourself. For example, with record inflation eating away at the value of the US dollar, the savings in your retirement account is in danger of slipping away. I recommend diversifying your 401k or IRA out of paper assets and into physical gold. And the best way to do that is with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. Now that includes no penalties, there's no taxes when you transfer current retirement funds into Birch Gold. To see how it works, I want you to go to lancewallnau.com/Birch and get your free info kit, and you'll be glad that you did.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.